Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This one is going to be a little different than my other ones. I decided for my last video of the year, before the new year rings in, that I would do my top 10 best games that I played this year, 2022. And then I also want to talk about 10 upcoming games in 2023 that I'm really looking forward to. I thought it was just a really nice, easy video I could put out for the end of the year just to wrap some things up and give some insight into what I hope to start in the new year. The top 10 ones that I played this year are in no particular order. I didn't want to put them in number order. They're just 10 games that I think if you haven't played, you should play. They were just 10 that came to my mind instantly. Ones that I think were really good out of everything I played this year. So one of them was Light, Black Cat, and Amnesia Girl. I remember it as if I just played it. I believe it came out close to the beginning of the year. It's an indie game. Basically, you play as a girl who's lost her memories, and you have a cat that follows you around. You play as the cat. Yeah, I think. I can't remember. See, it's been that long. It's a fantastic game, but it's just like my memory is a little laggy on it. But yeah, you play as the cat. She follows you around and you have to help her do puzzles and escape from the mansion and a wolf and some other creatures that I won't spoil, but it's a really fun game. It's pretty short, but it is an indie. I think it was either a solo developer or a very, very small team. That don't matter. It was a really well done game. They've added more content since I've played it. They fixed some achievements, added some things, and overall it was a really fun game, and I highly recommend it. I'm a cat lover, so like anything with a cat, as long as it's like decently made, I will play it. I've even started playing like little clickers where you go and you find cats that are hidden in the picture. I'm even gone to that. So that's Light, Black Cat, and Amnesia Girl. Another one that was really good was The Quarry. Believe this one was done by the same devs that did Until Dawn, Dark Pictures, but this was a standalone project. They wanted this, I think, to be somewhat their next one close to Until Dawn. You basically follow a whole bunch of camp counselors that spend the night at camp even though they're not supposed to, and meet some creatures, and you get to make like decisions for them. It's pretty much kind of like Until Dawn. You find clues and foretelling of events and foresight, and you pretty much uncover the story behind the creatures, which you end up figuring out are werewolves. But overall, it was a really fun game. I played it a couple times. I still have yet to get all the achievements on it. I believe it is only solo. I don't think you can play co-op. I really didn't look into it. But either way, really fun game. I gave it a pretty high rating when I played it. But yeah, that's The Quarry. Another one I really enjoyed, which just came out October. Was it October? Oh my god, it's been 2 months already since this came out. This is Age. This is how fast time goes. This just came out. The DLC for Resident Evil Village 8 came out mid-October. Shadows of Rose. So basically, it was an add-on DLC to Village of Shadow, or oh my god, Resident Evil Village. It came out last year, and they've been working on this DLC. So basically, you follow in the footsteps of Ethan as his daughter. You're trying to get rid of your powers. And it gives you some background on her and her dad and what happened after and before Resident Evil Village. So that was really good DLC, added in a lot. I'm glad they did it. It was worth the money. I'm glad I played it. Obviously, achievements such and so forth I still have to do, but it was a fantastic game, and it's definitely an add-on that's worth playing. Another one I started playing this year. I have not finished it yet, but I have watched gameplay for it, is The Mortuary Assistant. This was one I'd been looking forward to for a long time, and then I got it, played a little bit, and I just some things happened and I just never went back to it. But I plan on playing it on my own. But it was from a it's this is from a solo developer, and it is so fucking well done. They even went through the work of making the demo different for everybody. Like not everybody had the same ending or things happen in the demo. And I played the demo. If you guys want to see that, that is also somewhere in my past videos. I've played a whole bunch of demos. And it's got tons of good jump scares. It's fun to play. It's just overall a good game, and it wasn't an extortionate amount of money either. So if you guys like horror, if you've always been interested in like preparing the dead for burial and cremation, then you'll definitely get a kick out of this game. But I definitely need to go back to it and finish it. But that's Mortuary Assistant. Next, this one I just started playing. It came out earlier this year. I had no interest in playing it, but I had a really good friend who was going through a rough time at the same time I was, invited me to play this. And we started playing it, and now I'm like so fucking addicted, and it's so much fun. You basically just run a restaurant and you make food for customers, and you have to like clean tables and clean dishes, and you get to make food from pizza to burgers to apparently stir fry. You can unlock breakfast, hot dogs, salad, turkey, fish. There's so many options, and every day's different because you have to pick a different layout for your restaurant and set it up differently and different achievements, and it is so much fun. You can spend hours playing this game, not even realize it. And I am so grateful that he introduced me to this game because it is so much fun. It's taken my mind off so much this year, this end of the year, and I can't wait to continue playing because it's a lot of fun. Next is the new Modern Warfare 2 that came out earlier this year. I have played most of the campaign. The campaign is a really good story compared to Call of Duties of the past. But I play mostly the multiplayer aspect, and I've put in a crap ton of hours in multiplayer, and a lot of people don't like the unlocking system of the camo for the weapons, but I actually enjoy it. It gives you something to work toward when you're playing. I personally have unlocked plat for the shotguns and a sniper, and then I'm working on a few other guns, but I have not played in a while. I know they've added in Warzone and a couple other modes and things, but it is a really fun game. I have not played Call of Duty in so many years, and this one is the one that brought me back into it, and I am really, really enjoying it. Next is Unpacking. This game, like, for those of you that know, you just know what this game is. It is basically crack for someone who has OCD and likes to organize, which is me. This game is so relaxing. All you do is exactly as it says. You are basically, every stage you move into a new house and you unpack the boxes, which are different every day, and you arrange everything in each room, and you can put them in different rooms, and it's just, it's a game that lets you just relax and mindlessly play without worrying about doing it wrong or doing it right or going through it quickly. A solo player game that just lets you chill, and sometimes you just need those games. And that was Unpacking for me. It was needed, and I tend to go back to it sometimes when I need a breather. I need something easy to play. Um, yeah, it's a really well done game. Another one that's kind of similar that just came out, which I didn't want to add in because I didn't want to have two the same, was A Little to the Left, which is another organizational game. That one is so fun as well. I've beaten both of them. I'm working on achievements for that one. It is so much fun. I also just want to mention, I apologize for the tiny little pictures. It's so hard to find ones on the internet that were big enough, but also weren't some stupid like WEP file that were just pissing me off, because then you have to change it to try to make it work, or else it doesn't show up. So some of them end up being really tiny, which is really tilting, but we move on. Another one I really enjoyed is another cat game, which was Stray. Actually won Indie of the Year, which I was super stoked about. So happy. Um, it was so much fun. Like, you play the whole game as this cat that's gotten lost from his family, and you're trying to find your way back to the surface again. And along the way, you make friends with the robot community, and you help them um, pretty much overthrow the tyrannical government that was going on, and that was controlling their life. And it was a really fun game. Lots of things to do, lots of exploring, and for a cat lover to be able to play a whole game as a cat, like 8 hours of cat, it was just so much fun. I enjoyed recording this so much. Definitely a must buy if you were a fan of cats. Oh, it was so good. So good. I just finished playing this and recording the review for this. Was the newest of the Dark Pictures anthology, The Devil in Me. This one I cannot rave enough. Out of the 4 they've made, this one is by far the best one. I stated so in my review that to me, one of the scariest things isn't something that's not real that you can rationalize and say, this isn't real, so therefore it shouldn't scare me. It's human nature. Human nature is scary. What people will do to other people, that is real fear. That is just frightening to me. And this game really brought it forward in that aspect. I mean, you're basically a production crew locked inside of a death mansion that's full of saw traps, and you have to make decisions on how to save people and piece together the clues on the background of who it is that is trapping you here and why they're doing it. And it was so much fun. I played it solo, I played it co-op. Overall, it is their best work so far, and that makes me super excited to see how the last 4 that they're making are going to turn out. And finally, I purposely saved this one for last. I know Ren would not get a kick out of this, but I could not care less. But if I had to pick a top game of the year, which it did win Game of the Year, by the way, so haha, was Elden Ring. This game has so many memories for me. I played it alongside so many people, did so many little parts, co-op with others. I played with my partner during this game, and my partner at the time. And this game was amazing. It was my first introduction into a Souls game. I'd never played Dark Souls or Mortal Shell or any other Souls-like games before. This was my first, and it pulled me in hard. I was so obsessed with this game. I put in almost 400 hours into this game to get all the achievements, all the endings, and it was worth it. And I still go back to it every once in a while. And I did record a little bit for you guys. I never went back. I did record a few sessions, but like, this game will always hold a special place in my heart. So many things, so many good memories of this game. It was so well done. It was definitely, I don't care what anybody else says, it was well deserved for Game of the Year. The just as much as people want to say God of War deserved it, I don't know, because I don't get to play it because it's a PlayStation exclusive. But Elden Ring came out on every single fucking platform. Everybody could have played it. Switch players could play it. PC, Xbox, PlayStation. Everyone was allowed to play it, which is what games should be. Everybody should be able to play it if they want to. And just think of the amount of work. Not only is it open world, but it was massive. And the endings and the amount of characters they created, the amount of weapons they created. If you compare everything to God of War, the only thing I could maybe say God of War was better on, and people would say, would be story. Elden Ring has a story, but it's not as story-based as God of War is. It's more, you create your own story along the way, but everything else, every other aspect, the art design, the amount of work put in, Elden Ring definitely overtook it in every other aspect. This game was amazing. And I will always look back on this game lovingly, and I will have to replay it sometime. It's just so good. I don't know if any other game is ever going to top it in my mind. This game is just so good. And it's really got me into the Souls like games. And there are other ones I have bought since that I need to try, along with ones coming out next year that I'm super excited for. And it's all thanks to this one game. And the reason I had picked this up in the first place. I pre-ordered the collector's edition on a whim. I had heard the writer for Game of Thrones had a influence on it, and that they were taking um like spiritual aspect of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and inputting into this game. And as soon as I heard that, I was all in. Tolkien is obviously influenced me in the way of my name, but it's just something that's been part of my life since I can remember. It is a franchise, a series that I have grown to love and know so much about, and it's just a part of me. And I knew I had to have this game as soon as I knew that. But anyway, so that's the 10 games that I recommend for 2022 that if you have not played, you should play. And then next I have 10 that I am looking forward to playing this coming year, and can't wait to see what it brings. So first one is Daymare 1994 Sandcastle. I did play the demo for this, so if you guys want to see that, that is somewhere in my demo videos. I can't remember exactly how the story goes for this one because it's been so long and I meant to look it up and I didn't. But it's basically, there's a Daymare 1998 that's been out for a long time. I have yet to play that one, but apparently this is supposed to be like it's kind of like a sequel prequel to it. But the gameplay was so good, like, and it was so science-based. Like, there's so many survival horror games with zombies and such, but this one took it to a different level in the sense that your weapon, you could change the element kind of it, and the zombies you went up against, were kind of like an element in and of itself, so then you had to change your weapons based on what element they were in order to kill them. Otherwise, you wouldn't do damage. And just the way it was done, the demo was so good. It just pulled me in so hard. And I was just like, I cannot wait for this to come out. I thought it was supposed to come out here in 2022, but has yet to make an appearance. So I'm banking that's supposed to be next year. I have not heard an official date, but I am super stoked for this game. It looked so fucking good. And I think the demo is still up on Steam for those that want to try it. If not, I have my video. But you definitely check it out. It looked really good. Next, which actually comes out here in the next couple weeks, is One Piece Odyssey. I have been saying, and I have kept a TikTok on my profile for years saying that somebody please needs to make a One Piece open world game different than all previous One Piece games. Like, this isn't exactly what I pictured, because like the TikTok I have, somebody was like, oh, somebody needs to make a One Piece game where you start your own crew and go through the world, you know, like Luffy did, maybe meet them or add them or however it goes, but like that game needs to be made. Like that would be so good. But like every One Piece game that's out there already are all fighters with maybe a tiny bit of story. Bar One Piece World Seeker apparently has a story, but you're like on an island for the whole time. And I don't know how this one's supposed to work. Because I haven't played World Seeker yet, but I have it. And as soon as I saw the announcement for this one, it's supposed to be more open world and lots of choices, and you get to play more characters. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm in. I've been a One Piece fan ever since it came out, watching with my siblings, and it's one of my favorite animes. Even as much crap as people give it for lasting as long as it has, it is so good. It's slow in certain parts and lots of filler, but it is a very good anime, especially if you're a fan of pirates like I've been my whole life. I've always loved pirates and adventure, and it just drew me in. And I'm super stoked that we're finally getting a good game for it. So that should be coming out here soon. I'll actually be hopefully recording that for you guys, so you should see that. Next is Post Trauma. So this is an indie that was supposed to be sort of based off like a Resident Evil Silent Hill vibe. This one has a demo as well, which I have played. It is so good. There was a trailer for this during the Game Awards night as well. For those that did not see, you can go back and watch it. But it is really well done. The little bit of puzzles and interactions and exploring that you got to do in the demo reeled me in. It looks so fucking good. I cannot wait for this to come out. Basically, you're playing this old man who, I don't know how you got there. It didn't really explain anything yet that I remember, but you're like, it's almost like you're in an abandoned subway or train station or something, trying to find your way out. I think you're like looking for your son or something, and you're like missing memories. And I don't know if you're like hallucinating all these things or if they're real. Like, I just don't know. But like, I cannot wait to find out. I can't wait for this to come out so I can play it and go through all the puzzles. And it's just so good. And if you guys have not seen this yet, you should check it out, especially if you're a horror fan. But this one should be really fucking good and supposed to be coming out this year. So I'm super excited. Uh, and the one that like majority of the world seems to be excited for is Hogwarts Legacy. Like, I cannot wait to play this game. Comes out in February. I mean, there's tons of other Harry Potter games between Lego and going through the movies and the books, but this one is just like the climax of all those put together. Like, this is going to be an open world Harry Potter game where you get to carve your way through history. This takes place hundreds of years before Harry Potter does, and I like all new characters. The only one that you could think might make an appearance would be Dumbledore. For age wise, and I don't even think he's in this, so it's just all brand new. You don't know these people. You get to be a wizard, you get to make a Patronus, you get a wand, you get to pick your house, you get to do classes. Like, any Potter nerd, the one thing they want is to be able to go to Hogwarts, and now you'll be able to in a game. The only thing that came close to this was the mobile game that I have, and I've played a little bit, but this is just going to be so much different. Like, this is going to be epic. And I plan on recording this for you guys as well, but I also plan on playing with two of my friends from the UK, and us three are going to play together the day it comes out, and we're just super excited, and this is going to be so much fun, and I just can't wait to see what's in store. But this is going to be a massive game on so many levels, and I can't not explain the hype for this game, but this is supposed to be really good, so I can't wait to be a part of it. Another one that's supposed to be coming out, I thought it was supposed to come out this year, but I guess it's getting moved to next year, is the Outlast Trials. Oh, it missed the Trials word at the bottom. But I was given a code to play the beta for this. So I played the beta with Ren, my co-owner from the IAS servers. And we played this co-op, the demo, and it was so fucking good. And then I went back on my own time and did technically the prologue, which is like the intro to the game. It was showing you all the controls and stuff, which had its own story within itself of how you got to be in the Outlast Trials, which is really fucking good. And I'm so thankful I got to be a part of the beta. I recorded it. It's on my channel. And it looks to be so much fun, and it's in a way different style than the previous two Outlast games. This one is based, in my opinion, heavily on multiplayer, not necessarily solo, but I'm going to be curious to see how it pans out for both ways, solo and multiplayer. But you're basically like part of an experiment, um, part of the trials, I guess, to make it through puzzles and get backstory on the corporation behind all these games. But it looks to be so much fun, and I cannot wait for a really good multiplayer game to come out that's horror based. So this one ought to be really good. Another one that a ton of people are really looking forward to is the Resident Evil 4 remake. Resident Evil 4, the original that came out years and years and years ago, I first played it on the Wii. My partner at the time introduced me to Resident Evil. I had never known what it was. Resident Evil 4 was the first Resident Evil I played. It was technically the first horror game I played, and I was sucked in so fast. I became a huge Resident Evil fan just based off the one game. I've played most of the other ones. I still have a few to play through. But when I heard that they were remaking 4, I was like so excited. I like jumped up and down in my seat, and because if any game was like, I haven't played the remake of 2 and 3, but looking at the graphics and how much work they put into 7 and 8, which were some of their best games, and then seeing how the remakes were, it made me so excited for Resident Evil 4. If I wanted one game to be remade in the way that they've created 8, it would be 4. It's going to be so good, and I cannot wait. I'm so stoked. I mean, come on. Who's not a fan of Leon? I mean, I'm so excited to see how they did it. And they're supposedly, they've kept a lot of things the same, and they've changed a lot of things. But I cannot wait to see how this one pans out. Super excited. This one's supposed to come out in March. I already pre-ordered, as you guys would well know of me. So I cannot wait to get into this. Another one that I have not heard much about recently is I knew they were making a Texas Chainsaw Massacre multiplayer game, sort of in the spirit of Dead by Daylight, but based obviously on the movies. And I have not heard a lot, but I heard it's still in development. It's supposed to be really good. The only other game it makes me think of is Evil Dead. The Evil Dead multiplayer is pretty good. There's definitely a lot of work they could be doing. The multiplayer is really broken in the aspect of the killer side, but I mean, so is Dead by Daylight. But I'm really curious to see how this one pans out. I think it's essentially the same as Dead by Daylight and Evil Dead in the sense of there's characters that are trying to escape from the killer, and there's maps and lots of things to do, and it's supposed to be really good multiplayer games coming out. So just like Outlast Trials, I cannot wait to see if it's scary, how it plays. But it should be a really good time, especially for my server. Another one I'm really looking forward to is Lord of the Rings Gollum. It was supposed to come out this year as well, but then they ran into some issues and they wanted it to be better than it was, so they decided to push it back, which I would rather them do that than push out an unfinished game. So that's supposed to come out next year. Of course, since I'm a Tolkien fan, of course I'm going to buy it. It's a Lord of the Rings game. Why wouldn't I? But you're playing as Gollum and going through his story, which takes place before the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. So that should be really interesting to see. The art style was really different from what I saw from the trailer. But I'm stoked either way to play it. I have the Lego games. I have the old PS2 games. Now, in the same sense where I have been wishing for an open world One Piece and an open world Harry Potter game, I've been hoping somebody would make an open world Lord of the Rings game. It still needs to happen. So any devs out there that hear this, please make me a open world Lord of the Rings game where like you could be in the Lord of the Rings world apart from the actual Lord of the Rings story, but like you get to make your own way through it. Like I have not had an open world one where you got to take control of a character since the Game Boy. And that was a fantastic game then. I still play it because it is the only one where you can go through the story. But I need a new one. I need an updated version. So please, I need one. But until then, this is going to be the one I'm looking forward to for Lord of the Rings. So I can't wait to see what happens when this comes out. Lies of P is another one that a previous partner of mine showed me. It's another Souls-like game. And I'm not exactly sure the story, but I think it has to do with Pinocchio, kind of. I know you're part mechanical, but it is Souls based, and with as much love as I have for Elden Ring, I knew I had to put on my wish list, and I've been following it for a little bit. I have not heard anything yet. They have some trailers, they have some gameplay, but I have not heard of a release date. I'm hoping it's this year, but this one should be good as well. It almost kind of reminds me of... Oh, I can't think of it, but there's one that came out this year that was kind of mechanical based. I think it begins with an S or an R. No, I'm really bad with names, but you were like in charge of trying to stop something to do with the French, but it was Souls-like, and I can't think of what it's called. Oh, it's gonna piss me off. But it almost kind of reminds me of that in the style, that you're like part mechanical and not fully human. But this one looks to be really good, so I can't wait to play this one as well. And finally, my last one that I'm really looking forward to is Lords of the Fallen. So I saw this trailer a while back, and then they had another trailer for it at Game of the Year. It's another Souls game, apparently, which I did not know, that this is kind of a remake based on one that came out years ago that was apparently really shit, from what I heard. I do have the original now because I got it really cheap on sale, so I might try it. But this is supposed to be kind of like the remake of it. But the gameplay looks so good. And apparently it can be played co-op as well. So I'm hoping I can find someone that's willing to play it co-op. If not, I'll play solo, as I normally do. But this one I'm so excited to see. And as I've stated, because of Elden, I'm a huge fan of Souls now. And this was just one of the ones that really piqued my interest. Just looking at it, I immediately got like Lord of the Rings vibes. I mean, there's dragons, there's the city, the sword, the armor, the lantern that shows the evil around you, and even the crown on his head made me immediately think of Ringwraiths. Like, I was just like, I'm all in. Like, give it to me. I need it. So I'm super excited for all 10 of these games. If some of them pique your interest, you guys should check them out. All of them are on Steam to be wishlisted. Some of them have demos, some of them have trailers. Just check it out. And you guys let me know what you think. Let me know what games you thought should have been really good ones for 2022 that might have or should have been on my list that maybe if I haven't played, I'll try. And also which ones you think coming up in the new year that might be good as well that I may not have heard of. I'm always willing to try new games, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. But other than that, this is my last video for 2022. So I will see you all in the new year when One Piece comes out. That might be my first game of the new year. But Happy New Year, everybody, and I will see you all after the start of 2023. So thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And as always, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.